So, confident eaters, we have a special interview with my client Rachel today. But before we get into it, I want to let you know that the Confident Eater group program is closing Friday, August 23rd at midnight. This is a limited time opening of the group program. Now, today you're going to hear Rachel talking about working with me one on one. I do still have one on one coaching available, and they are the same program. You're getting the same awesome resources, the same awesome coach, but they are just a little bit of different formats of working with me. So either way, you're going to want to book a consultation call with me. There'll be the link for a free 45-minute call in the show notes, and we'll talk about whether one-on-one or the group is better for you. All right, let's get into it. With my client Rachel, who has just finished up the Confident Eater program. We just finished our last session today, and I thought it would be so fun to do a little interview for you guys to get to know her story and her transformation. So, Rachel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Rachel, as you've heard. I originally met Amber at the gym, believe it or not. I am a personal trainer, so I approached her to do a workout with me, and that's how we met. And then obviously I became a client of hers not soon after that, and that's how I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny that I was working with Rachel first and then we swapped spots and now we're working together. And one thing that I think is really unique about Rachel's story is that she was a personal trainer or still is. And I think this is so important because I know a lot of you get kind of stuck in this shame cycle of I should know how to eat and eating it should be easy. And I think being a personal trainer, I'm sure you went through some of that yourself and thinking that we should know how to eat all these things. But really, I mean, there's so much to eating and so much to coaching that sometimes needs to happen in order for changes to happen. So, do you want to talk about a little bit about your journey and where you were when we first started?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So it's funny that you say that. I actually had a conversation with my college roommate where I said, it's so frustrating that I know exactly what I should be eating, how much I should be eating, when I should be eating it, and what I should be exercising or what I should be doing for exercises. But I just can't. I felt like I would put this plan together where I'd, eat this on this day and this on that day. And I had this whole thing organized. I would meal prep, but that would last for a couple weeks. And then I would go to the grocery store and get a box of cereal and a thing of cookies and some milk. And I'd go to town and feel horrible the next day. And I was just so frustrated with myself because it felt more like a willpower thing. And I was like, I just look so silly compared to all these other people in the exercise profession because they are doing what they are preaching and I'm not. And I felt very like kind of I was like being a hypocrite almost. But that was maybe in college was like the height of my binge eating disorder. I was never officially diagnosed, but I mean, I took a psychology class and I read the DSW, so I kind of knew what was going on. And then I became a personal trainer because I really did love working out. I love teaching people how to exercise. I love that you could feel good about your body in this way. And then I moved to Colorado from Texas and got a job at the gym that Amber and I go to. My eating then wasn't really on the binging level anymore. It was more overeating. And I was kind of how I was telling Amber that it didn't really feel like a problem to me because it wasn't binging anymore. I'm like, I'm not binging anymore. It's not that big of a deal. But I kind of told her, and actually, she told me about the group that we were kind of like the group coaching class. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll pop in, see what's going on. Because I used to have this problem in the past. And then we sat down for the one-on-one, the kind of like the intro. She was talking to me about the group. And then I was telling her, yeah, I just wish I was, instead of 6 cookies, I could have 2. Or instead of 2 bowls of cereal, I wish I could just have 1. And so it wasn't really a huge deal to me. And then she was like, what's a big deal to you because it's a big deal to you, like, because it makes you feel a certain way. And I was like, well, I guess that's true. So it kind of surprised me. I'm like, in this 30-minute call, I went from no, I don't have a problem to maybe I do have something I need to work on. um,
Yeah, and I think
and
that experience is really common where people think it's not bad enough. Like, I'm not that bad. I'm not really like full binge eating. And that's something that
yeah,
happened to me is I did deal with some extreme binge eating, as I think you did
yeah,
too. But I landed in this like overeating space where I'm like, I know I don't like my relationship with food fully, but I don't feel like it's
yeah,
that bad. But I think people just need to hear sometimes that there is better out there and that you can up level
exactly.
eating habits to really your dreams and how you want to be eating. And you don't have to stay stuck in, well, this is good enough, I guess. I guess I'm feeling fine, but
Yeah.
there's always room to grow. And if you have a dream of how you want your eating to look like, you can probably reach it, right? With a
Yeah.
little coaching, a little support, making sure you have someone keep you accountable to do what you want to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, as you've gone through this program, you've made tons of changes. So,
Mhm.
what are some positive things that have changed about your eating in life since starting?
Oh my gosh, some positive things. There's so many. I think that the biggest thing that I had to realize and what you kind of taught me through this whole program is that not where I was going wrong per se was the thought about food, right? I had this feeling that every time I messed up, I just needed to be stricter. I was like, oh, I just need to reset and I need to just never have a bowl of cereal ever again. And that's just how it's going to work because I just can't control myself around cereal. And what helped, I think, in the beginning was knowing that restriction wasn't the answer and that you were thinking more like, I don't know,
I think
it's
a lot
hard.
your
Go
brain
ahead.
imagines restriction's gonna help, right? It's gonna
Mhm.
solve it. But what it really does is just get us further and deeper into the cycle. So as
Yeah.
we talked about, these thoughts of I want to restrict, but then seeing where it actually leads us, and we can see,
Mhm.
oh no, when we actually give ourselves permission to eat these foods, and when we slip up and we just get right back to it, that's what actually
Exactly.
moves us forward, right?
Yeah. And I think that the reason almost why it's hard for me to remember was because 6 months ago, like we had in our session today, is I felt like a different person. So when I look back and I'm like, "Oh, how was I doing back then?" It's so different. I can't even comprehend. So I'm like, "What did I do back then?" And I think one of the best tools that you gave me in the beginning was to do the challenge of like having a little bit of food that I thought was like more of a trigger food with every meal. I was obsessed with Oreos and cereal, and the thought of having that at every single meal before my actual food helped me realize that food is just a food. It's very normal. You can have a little bit then, a little bit there. And it's like at one point during that exercise, I didn't want it anymore. And
Mhm.
then having the thought, wow, I don't want this food that I used to think I could never get enough of. It's just mind blowing.
Right. People, when we start out with doing trigger foods, and if you're watching this and you're hearing, oh my gosh, I can never imagine eating that food every single day. I totally get how scary it is, but I do
Hmm.
it because it works. Because
Yeah.
when you start to realize these foods aren't going anywhere, all
Hmm.
of a sudden that desire to eat all of them all at once and then never eat them again, it goes away because it
Yeah.
becomes more a normal part of your life. And
Yeah.
I think about, if you were to eat 10 cookies on a Saturday versus 1 cookie every day, you'd
Yeah.
overall be eating less cookies, and that's an improvement, and you're healing your
Yeah.
relationship with food in that
Yeah.
process.
And it's almost comforting knowing, "Oh, I'm gonna have this again today, or I'm gonna have this again tomorrow, or I'm gonna have this again." And even though that might not be the end goal of having this every single day for the rest of your life, it helps so that you can. And then if you can, it's like the next question is, "Do I want to?"
Mhm.
Right? Which is the whole point of this program is, do I want to be eating this all the time, or do I wanna be eating this much of it?
Yeah, exactly. So tell me, we've improved our relationship with food, right? We're feeling awesome, and I love how you said, "I don't even remember what I was like before."
Yeah, I don't even remember.
The amount we can accomplish in 6 months is truly
Mhm.
astonishing when we're talking with each other every single week for an hour.
Yeah.
But some other areas of your life that have improved from healing your relationship with food and going through this process?
Totally. So I think that and it's crazy to think that whenever I first started this program, the biggest thing was, oh my God, I'm overeating. Like all I can think about is food. All I can think about it. And it's like now I'm like, yeah, I'm not overeating anymore. But like the biggest thing that has changed for me outside of food has been presence in my life. Because my big thing when I was eating was I was either watching TV, I was watching TikTok, I was having some sort of distraction while I was eating. And then one of your challenges to me was like, okay, how about you just eat and don't have any distraction? Or if you have to have something, read a book. And doing that was so hard in the beginning. It kind of made me question, like, am I addicted to TikTok? Because I could not eat without watching it or eat without watching TV. So it took a good like 2 to 3 weeks for me to actually not do that. And when I started not watching TikTok or not watching TV, I started realizing that I was doing those things even when I wasn't eating. And I was like, wow, I have to watch TV when I'm studying, or I have to watch TikTok whenever I'm in the car at a stoplight, or whenever I'm walking down the hallway, or I'm walking my dog in the park. I'm not being present in any of these moments. I'm always constantly distracting myself. So then I kind of challenged myself and I deleted TikTok, and I made it to where if I was walking my dog, I was, I didn't even have headphones in, like I wouldn't listen to my podcasts, which is a little bit of an extreme, but I kind of really wanted to prove to myself that I could be present in these moments. And it really helped me understand that I wasn't experiencing life a lot. And then, like I mentioned to you today, I have a boyfriend and we were watching TV a lot at dinner. And one night I said, how about we eat at the dinner table? Because I think at this point we lived here for 6 months and we had never ate at the dinner table. And he was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So we eat at the dinner table and we start talking. And I'm like, wow, like I can't remember the last time I actually had a conversation over a meal with you. And we started having conversations that, I mean, I told Amber this, that we probably wouldn't have had if we were just watching TV. And that doesn't mean they were super deep or anything. And I think I mentioned that like one conversation was like, oh, where do you want to go on vacation next year? It's just like little things that I feel like my relationship with him has even deepened because of this. So yeah,
Yes, that's so awesome. It's so great to see all the other areas that healing your relationship with food and ourself can impact.
yeah.
So, wrapping up, what would you tell someone who is on the fence about doing this program or working with me?
Oh my gosh. I think that I can't even put into words how life changing it is. Like, I think that I'm so glad that I found you when I'm 23. And that I feel like if I didn't have you, I would have gone through this cycle of just an unhealthy relationship with food for as long as until I found you. So I'm just glad that I found you now. And I think that the way that it has changed my life, you can't even put a price on it. I mean, like, if I was on the fence, like, if I could talk to myself who was on the fence 6 months ago, I would have been like, 100% do it. I don't care if you have to do Uber Eats or get a second job. I was like, "You need to do this now." I was telling my boyfriend about it, and he was like, "That's it's kind of a lot. It's a big commitment. Like, are you sure?" And I was like, "It's my life we're talking about here." I'm like, "I'm gonna hopefully have my life for a while, and I wanna enjoy and be in control for as long as I can, and I need to start now."
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you for all the kind words.
Yeah, of
You
course.
know, yes, when we do coaching, when we do these things, it's an investment in ourselves.
Yeah.
But to be free of our overeating and to feel good around food for the rest of our life, whether that's
Yeah.
the 40, 50, 60, 70 years,
Yeah.
is truly priceless. And I always go back to when I started my journey and I imagine that same thing that I was like,
Mhm.
the sooner I could get help, the sooner I could be free. And I'm young too. I'm 23 as well. And like the fact that I have the rest of my life without struggling with this food issue that I struggled with
Yeah.
for years and took away so
Yeah.
much of my life, I just think it's so worth it.
And I wanna say one more thing before you get off, is that because I know in the past, I have considered getting help, and I've always kind of been like, "Oh, that's really expensive. I can just do it on my own." I'm like, "If it's that expensive, I can probably figure it out." But then it's not until I said yes to you that I realized how wrong I was. And then I really needed to where I was failing was not looking in, and I was being very harsh on myself, and I was being very controlling in the way that, like, I just needed to fix something whenever it's a lot more than that. And I can't sum up 6 months in, one conversation, but it's just so worth it.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for coming on today and telling your story. And I am so
Yeah.
proud to know you and have been a part of your journey and
Thank
all of
you.
the amazing changes you make. And I can't wait to see
Yeah,
your future, all of the amazing things. Rachel's
me
going to
either.
school. She has so much ahead of her. And I know it's going to be so much easier now that you've gotten this taken care of, handled out
Mhm.
of the way. So
Totally.
thanks so much. And I will keep in touch
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, Rachel.
Bye.